Hey everyone, it's Paul here with Minne-Florida Living, and just got back from a great day on the water. Just got done cleaning some fish, and now it's time to get down to business for cooking tomorrow. Tomorrow I am going to teach you how to smoke a store-bought corned beef brisket, and once it's on the smoker it actually ends up being called pastrami. The difference between corned beef and pastrami is that corned beef is usually cooked in the oven and pastrami is smoked on a smoker. Now, I'm sure you're probably wondering why I even have to do a video when I'm buying store-bought corned beef and throwing it on the smoker. Well, the reason is because it's not as easy as just buying a packet of this and throwing it right on the smoker. Because if you do that, you're going to end up with one shriveled, salty piece of meat. So let me show you the steps that are required to turn this into something that is special once it hits the smoker. Alright, the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the fat cap on the brisket. I'm going to trim it to a uniform 1/4 inch thickness, making sure I remove all the excess fat flaps and any of the hard fat because that will not render down during the smoking process. And then I'm going to flip the brisket over. I'm going to trim all the fat off one side completely, and I'm going to be smoking this brisket fat cap up because that is where the heat source comes from on my Weber Smoky Mountain. Once I have the brisket completely trimmed, I'm going to put it in a water bath for 2 hours. I'm going to take it out, I'm going to rinse it, I'm going to put it in a brand new water bath for another 2 hours, take that out, rinse it, and then I'm going to put it into a final water bath, which I'm going to soak overnight to remove any of the excess salt that is in the corned beef. Hey everyone, it's Paul here with Minne-Florida Living, and today I am so excited because I am finally going to be able to throw that store-bought corned beef brisket on the Weber Smoky Mountain. We had to let it sit in water for a day to soak out all the salt. We had to let it sit in the fridge seasoned for 8 hours after that. And then now it's time to throw it on it. We have the smoker. I'm shooting for a temp of 225 to try to maintain. Right now it's 235, but I know once I throw the meat on after lifting the lid, it'll cool down a little bit, so let's throw it on. And the setup I'm using right now is I'm using a modified minion method. So I actually have all the coals around the outside, and then I dumped the chimney in the middle, and then it's going to burn out as it cooks. And I have my water pan full. And then depending on how the meat looks, I might use the Texas crutch, I might not. Let's just see how it goes in the cook, and I'll determine at that time. So here's the brisket all seasoned up. Do fat side up. Get the probes in, make sure you're reading the meat, not just the layer of fat. And we're ready to go. All right, we'll check back on that in probably about an hour. How often I check back on it's going to depend on what the temperatures are. I'm running my Barbecue Guru right now. I am not using the fan option, but I am using the probes. As you saw, I put 2 pieces in that, or 2 probes in the meat just because I want to have 2 data points for the cook. Like I said, brisket is my favorite, absolute favorite barbecue to cook, so I definitely don't want to screw it up. So that's why I have 2 temp probes in. Can't wait for you to see how this turns out. All right, everyone, so I wanted to give you an update. We are 2 hours and 15 minutes into the cook, and look at that. The probe on the left side and the probe on the right side are the same temperature. That is the importance of getting a uniform flat when you are cooking brisket, if possible. If you're doing just a flat, is right there. They're cooking the same temperature. Keeping everything at 225, so we're looking good. I'm not going to open up the smoker, though, to show you what that looks like yet. Alright, so we are 3 hours and 15 minutes in, so I'm just going to show you what the brisket looks like. And I'm going to spritz it a little. Starting to get a nice little bark. So I'm just going to spritz it a little. Put the top back on and... Hey everyone, welcome back. Introduction to brisket cooking for you if you've never cooked one. We're 8.5 hours into the cook. We've been stalled at 165. Actually, it just kicked up to 166. We've been stalled for 4.5, 5 hours. I'm going to throw in the towel, not on the cook, but I'm giving in and I'm going to do the Texas crutch. I originally was not going to do that, but I'm going to do that now. What the Texas crutch is, it's wrapping the brisket in foil or in butcher paper to get it out of the meat stall and to help get it up to temp quicker, I should say. So I'm giving in. I'm doing the Texas crutch. This by no means it's going to be a bad brisket. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Now the reason why I didn't do this earlier was because I didn't feel it had a good enough of a bark. But, you know, that has a nice bark. Actually has some nice bounce to it. A lot of juice. What I like to do during this step with the Texas crutch is I like to spritz it with Dr. Pepper and then add a little bit of butter underneath the brisket. Now, some people will spritz it with apple juice or cider or vinegar. My preference is to use Dr. Pepper. And when you're wrapping the brisket with the aluminum foil, make sure you wrap it very nice and tightly, because what this will do is it'll allow the steam to stay in there and break down the meat faster, additionally helping you get out of the meat plateau, also known as the meat stall, quicker than you normally would. I'm going to seal her up and let her go till she hits 195. Alright everyone, we did it. We are at 195 finally. I apologize for the poor lighting. It is because it is 10 o'clock on Saturday night, and I am just wrapping up, taking the pastrami smoked corned beef, whatever you want to call it, off the smoker. But my job is not done yet. Now I need to wrap it up tightly. I'm going to put it in the cooler and let it rest for 1 hour. The reason why you do this is that it allows the meat to cool down and the juices to recirculate. And then it also will give me time to go in and make the cabbage for the meal. Now I'm going to be doing my mom's cabbage recipe. She's usually the one that makes us all the corned beef and all the cabbage, all the sandwiches on St. Patrick's Day. This year I decided to take over because I wanted to try smoking it. So I am just going to wrap it in a towel, like so. Throw it in the cooler, like so. And then I'm gonna let it rest for an hour and then we will slice into it. Hey everyone, we did it. Smoked corned beef, pastrami. It's been 11 hours and 15 minutes since we started this, but it looks like it's all worth it. I mean, look at that juice on the pan right there. So let's cut into this. juicy. That is spot on. Look at how nice, and I mean, look at the pull to that. That is just perfect. This is going to be great. We're going to teach you 2 ways to do this. We're going to do one as a sandwich, and we're going to do one cabbage and corned beef. Let's get back into focus here. I mean, this is just wonderful right there. That's what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so I know I showed you this, but look at the perfect pull. It definitely has the saltiness of corned beef, but not overly salty. But then that pepper, I might have done a little heavy on the pepper, but not much. I mean, that is delicious. This is gonna be great. Like I said, with cabbage and potatoes, it's gonna be awesome as a sandwich with the homemade Thousand Island. Like I said, I mean, look at that. Look at that juice. The juice, it is just unbelievable. Now let's go make some sandwiches and some corned beef and cabbage. Alright, so I'm going to be trying 2 different meals here with the same pastrami. So the first is going to be, you know, good old pastrami, cabbage, and potatoes. You know, that's the cabbage recipe that we steamed. That's my mom's recipe. And then we're also going to try it as a piled high Reuben sandwich. So the first one is, there it is. There's the cabbage, got a little bit of char to it. Got the potatoes, got the pastrami. So I am going to cut this up and give it a whirl. Now I obviously don't need the knife for the pastrami. I'm just using it to cut the potatoes. Let's give it a whirl. So we got a little bit of the pastrami. I like to put some cabbage on it. Definitely love the saltiness of the pastrami with then just the kick in the back of your throat of the pepper, and then just the sweetness from the butter and the sugar that's in the cabbage. It just that nice salty and sweet flavor combination that I absolutely love. I mean, if you guys have seen my pulled pork recipes, you know, I like to do that sweet with that heat. I just love that offset. Now it's time to try the potato. Just the absolute butteriness of that potato is just, it's unbelievable. You know, I gotta go in for one more tasting of the cabbage and the pastrami. I mean, this is just, that's fabulous. For being a store-bought corned beef that I then put in water to take out some of the saltiness and then added my own seasoning and threw on the smoker, is absolutely delicious. You know, Kat's Deli, the famous one from Harry Met Sally, you know, they might be calling me for this recipe because this is absolutely wonderful. This is good. I don't know what to say other than I can't wait for you to try the sandwich that we're about to make. Let's go try that out. Alright everyone, we finally did everything we were going to do today with this corned beef that we smoked to turn into pastrami. You know, we tried it with the potatoes, the cabbage, and just the corned beef on its own, or pastrami on its own. Now, we're going to try it as a Reuben sandwich with this. We have 2 pieces of Swiss, we have sauerkraut, and we have that homemade Thousand Island dressing. If you want that recipe, click right here, and I'll show you that recipe. And if you want to know how I assembled this, click here, and I will also show you how to make the sandwich. So next step is to try it out. So first let's look at this thing. I mean, look how just juicy that is. Look at the sauce just oozing everywhere. Next step is I need to take a bite of it. So let's see how it tastes. That is one heck of a sandwich. I mean, it's just bursting with so many different flavors. There's pepper, there's salt, there's the creaminess from the Thousand Island. I get a little bit of the pickle relish, topped off with the cabbage, and also the butter from the bread. You know, that really helps. Once again, I'm gonna try it with the kraut. Try a potato. Finish off with one more bite. That is phenomenal. It just wouldn't be St. Patrick's Day if I couldn't have that. And what else would make it a little more St. Patrick's Day? Drinking a Guinness. So, you know the deal. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.